Welcome to the Generational Run podcast, the podcast for the Yankees fans and the people who know ball. Tonight, I have a very special guest joining me. You might know him as the host of the number one all New York sport podcast, The New York Sports Show, which currently has over 75,000 subscribers. A few months ago, he invited me on his show to talk about all things Yankees, and we had so much fun that I knew that I wanted to have him on my show. So tonight, I'd like to welcome Dominic Konareski to the show.
Yeah. Hello, Mads. Happy to be on. And let me just say, everyone botches my last name. You said it absolutely perfectly. So we're already
Awesome.
starting this podcast out on a great note. Happy to be on. It's a true honor to be on and to talk some Yankees baseball with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, so let's do some kind of general questions over here. How did you get into baseball and become a Yankees fan?
So the funniest thing is, I was never into baseball, and I mean not into any sports whatsoever. Now, I grew up, fortunately, always being around my grandparents. Me and my mom, we lived with my grandparents. My grandfather, really big Yankee fan, just a big New York sport guy overall, but nothing beat his fandom of the New York Yankees. And I wanted to get closer to him to, bond with him. And I noticed every time I'm in the car with him, he's listening to WFAN. Every time he's home, he has the Michael K show on. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should create a YouTube channel of me talking New York sports. And then, we could just talk New York sports, talk Yankees together, have him watch my videos. And doing that in I think it was June or July, one of those two of 2018. So it was a while ago. I was 13 at the time. I'm now 21. I started the New York Sports Show here on YouTube, and that just had me become a regular YouTuber. I still didn't know anything about baseball, but wanting that bond with him, I studied stats. I memorized players' names, their stats. I started watching game after game after game, and I chose being a Yankee fan at the most perfect time. I know you and me were talking a little bit beforehand that 2017 comeback with the Cleveland Indians at the time. I may have not have had the podcast then, but that's kind of when I started watching games. And going into 2018, I mean, the Yankees still dominating, still doing their thing. I
Right.
got to bond with my grandfather more. I fell more and more into my love of baseball, football, just sports in general, but nothing beat baseball. I started playing baseball myself. Never even knew how to swing a bat. That's how I found out I was left-handed when I play baseball because I do everything right-handed. And, it just all comes back to my grandfather and his impact on my life, because something that started with me wanting to bond with him and grow a relationship now turned into such a monumental part of me, of my life. I went from just doing YouTube videos to now doing this full time and loving sports. I may work 9 or 12 hours a day, but I love what I'm doing. And it all goes back to my grandfather in baseball. Or just watching movies in general, Field of Dreams,
Mhm.
Moneyball, For Love of the
Yep.
Game. And his impact was just so big. The studio I'm in right now is called the Edward Konareski Broadcasting Studio. I named it after him, dedicated it after him. So it just really goes back to my grandfather and his impact, which is still lasting today in my life.
Wow, I love that. That was a really cool story. I definitely got my love of the sport from my dad, and I know we were talking about it, the 2017 Yankees. That was probably my favorite team ever to watch. And it's funny because I still associate players now based on how they were in 2017. So like when I'm watching the Mets and I see Francisco Lindor, I'm like, oh, 2017 Cleveland Guardian. Or when I'm watching the Padres, Manny Machado, 2017 Oriole. Like that's how I think of the players. And it's that year was just so special for me. And that was the first year that I really got into baseball as well. I had always, watched it, but that was the first year, like you said, I was memorizing stats, I was memorizing players, I was memorizing their schedules, the standings. Like that year, you asked me anything about baseball and I could tell you. It was crazy.
It definitely is crazy. Like when you're first getting into something and, like, especially young, our minds soak in so much information. Like
Mhm.
I didn't even know when I first got into doing all this, I didn't even know what an RBI was. in
Hmm. Right,
baseball.
me
I
neither.
I had no clue about anything, and now I could tell you any stat, any player. I love doing the forgotten player columns on my website, NewYorkSportsShow.com, because I do the same thing. I associate players with teams that they were on several years ago, and it's crazy how
Right.
many players were through the Yankee system. Like some 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. And now, like, I fully consumed myself with it, and it sounds like you did too. So it was my entire life. Like every single night, I would have to stay up, past my bedtime. I was only, how old was I? I was like 10 or 11 at the time. Like, I would stay up past my bedtime. I would watch all the games. I would, keep score. I would pay attention to every single play. Like, I would not get up. And I would make like plans around when the Yankees games were. Like I would not go to, family birthday parties and stuff if the game was like, during that time, like, oh, sorry, I'm missing your 60th birthday party because it's like, the Yankees are on. Um, and now like I mean, it still does consume my life much, I think much less than it did, when I was trying to take it all in, because that is a big feat to try to learn. But now I'm like the one teaching it to people. I'm teaching it to my little brother, who you guys have seen. I was trying to pull the Carlos Rodon baseball card. I'm teaching it to my best friend. And she'll have questions and she'll be like, "Oh, can I ask you this? Can I ask you this?" She's like, "It might be a stupid question." I'm like, "No, nothing is a stupid question because I was once in that position and I taught myself." So, you know, I love it.
I mean, how could you not love it? First of all, it's baseball. Second of all, it's the New York Yankees. The New York
Right,
Yankees are the greatest baseball team in the world, and that's
right,
undebatable. I don't get how someone could be a Mets fan. I cover the Mets. I cover every single New York sport team, but it's like nothing compares to the Yankees. You may be a Knicks fan, but Knicks fandom, it doesn't compare to the level, I feel like, of
right.
being a New York Yankees fan. It's a completely different feeling. And I just want to say quickly, you talk about how it was consuming your life. I remember, and this is a very quick story. I remember one day I was at Texas Roadhouse eating dinner, and I got a notification on my phone. It was when James and Tyone was pitching a no hitter. I think this was what, like 21, 22. And I told my mom, like, "Mom, I gotta go home and watch the Yes Network because he's pitching a no hitter." I got home. I actually did. I went live on the New York Sports Show, and about a minute after I went live, that's when he gave up the no hit bid. So
So it was
I was the
basically your
bad luck
fault.
charm.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. All right, so my next question for you, when you first got into baseball, did you have a favorite player?
Yes, and it's gonna sound cliched. It's Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge was really the first name I memorized. Look, he's my Jeter. Okay, he may not have the same impact on New York as Derek Jeter
Hmm.
because there's only one Derek Jeter, but that's who I, started watching. That's who I first memorized. So it's undoubtedly Aaron Judge. I am overall a big Bartolo Colon guy, so I guess if I became a Yankee fan earlier on that 2011 season where he was in the Bronx, that would have been really nice.
Yeah, I was always a Judge girl, like obviously when I started watching, because that's basically all you heard about when he first started. It was Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge. Obviously now that has changed. You know, I'm not
Well,
a basic girl anymore.
let me just say though, I when Tyler Wade was a New York Yankee, I was his number one
Oh, I
defender
loved
on
him.
Yankees Twitter. I'm just saying, I gotta say that because I got into so many debates with a good friend of mine, Gary, over Tyler Wade because I know he
I
wasn't the
loved Brett
best, but man,
Gardner
I
too.
loved him. Brett Garner, oh,
I love
I
Brett
miss
Gardner.
Brett Garner. We
I
could
do
do a
too.
whole podcast episode of me just talking about why Brett Gardner is one of the
Right.
most underrated Yankees of all time. Yeah, he's definitely he's up there on my list, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we just finished up a great series with the Athletics. I wanted to get your thoughts on that because today was a crazy game, like
Today was a
alone.
crazy game. If I had to sum up the series in one word, it would be simply wow. Because I mean, I feel like every single one of these three games, we saw a completely different baseball team. I don't know if you want to
Right.
break it down like game by game, but man, especially today, the Yankees score 13 runs in the third inning and then are shut out the rest of the game. They ended up winning though 13-8, so it's kind of like, yeah, hey, we won, we scored 13, but then it's like, oh, but we didn't score the 8 other innings. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like how you want to take it. But man, I love this team. 5-1 on this road trip. They're
right.
going back to the Bronx. They get to stay at home now, get a nice home cooked meal, get to reconnect with the family. But let me tell you, this series was an interesting one. Of course, an 8-2 win in the series opener, and then dropping last night 4-6. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, I feel like the games like this where we score so many, they definitely show our flaws. Just because, like you said, if we didn't score in that third inning, we would have gotten shut out 8-0. So, you obviously need the run support, which they did have today, but you don't want to score 13 and then give over half of those runs back. That's because you know what? If that's October, if that's the end of September, if you're trying to fight for a playoff spot and the score is, a little bit less, maybe it's 5-0, like, you don't want them to be able to come back from that and win. Um, so it's a little bit concerning for me. I know everyone's like, "Whoa, we won. It was such a great game." But like, I mean, I even said this last year when they swept Milwaukee at the very beginning of the season when we won, like we were scoring like 20 runs in a game. But we made like 5 or 6 errors in that game. I said, "Guys, like, yes, it's great that we're scoring and that we won this game, but look at all the errors that we made. You
Can I
really
just
have
say
to."
though, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think one of the biggest positives of the season, like I said, I'm sorry to cut you off, but Carlos Rodon, this was
You can cut
his
me off for that.
Look, the Yankees lost the first 3 outings of his this season. So for them to get that game 1 win,
Right.
where he started on the mound, that was nice. Then Will Warren, he averaged 5 2/3 over his last 5 games coming in. So he gave 6 innings today. So
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
overall, Yankees starting pitching was nice. I could get to Ryan Weathers in a second. I wanted to state that with Carlos Rodon before I forgot about that,
He
because
was
I
great.
think that's a nice turnaround.
Yeah, and I think you know what? He did pitch great the game before, we just didn't give any run support. So, I mean, the same thing with Garrett Cole, his first game. He didn't get the win, he didn't get a loss. It was a no decision for him, but we just could not give him run support, and that was the issue. Him and Carlos were both pitching great. We just had nothing to show for it. But yeah, this I Carlos definitely needed that start on Friday. I was thrilled. We just kept scoring and scoring and scoring. I'm like, all right, we're going into like the second or third inning already with a couple of runs under our belt. Like this is great for him.
Now, since we're talking about game 1, I need your opinion on this. Ben Rice, he went 4 for 5 in that game. His last 6 games coming into today, he's hitting 417 with a 1.250 OPS. Of course, overall on the season, an over 300 batting average. Do you think that Ben Rice could be a possible contender for American League MVP? Maybe?
Absolutely. I
Yeah?
do. I do. And I know that at the beginning of the season, everyone was posting I don't know if it was rage bait or if they're just it's engagement bait. It's not rage bait. People are like, well, Ben Rice is going to be an MVP conversation. And I'm like, all right, it's only like, his second or third season. Like, let's back off a little bit. That's a big undertaking. And now he's like hitting home runs and he's like tied with Judge. I'm like,
I
this
feel
guy is incredible.
He really is. And I feel like a proud dad watching Ben Rice play, because I was up in
Paul Goldschmidt's the
Hartford.
proud dad.
Yeah, poor Goldschmidt is the proud dad. I mean, he's having an amazing season himself. But I was up in Hartford doing photography work and videography work when the
Mhm.
Yard Goats were going up against the Somerset Patriots, and I got to see Ben Rice's
Oh,
double
that's
A
awesome.
debut. And that was overall, that was a great game. But I mean, Ben Rice, he looked so young back then,
Mhm.
he was so unknown too. I don't even think he was a top 10 prospect at the time. And seeing what he's doing now, I know last year he was kind of titled the unluckiest player. But
Yeah,
seeing what he's doing now, I mean, we are seeing, I don't even think the best of Ben Rice. I think that's still yet to be unlocked. He's just getting started. The Yankees have such a good core right now, and I
right.
love to see it. I love it.
I think Ben Rice and Aaron Judge pair really well, and I know that Judge is kind of in a slump right now. It's not going the best for him, but I do think that the two of them together, I don't want to be that person and be like, he's Juan Soto. Like, but Juan Soto and Aaron
Yeah.
Judge had a really good bond with each other. They complemented each other really well, and I think that that is what Ben Rice is doing now. I don't know, that's just how I feel about the whole
No, I
thing.
mean, I do feel that there's definitely a good connection. I like it. And
Yeah,
overall, it's not just Ben Weiss doing good. It's, we just mentioned Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, he had a very good season last year, and now he's playing like, like he's 5 years younger now. I mean, where did this version of Paul
I could
Goldschmidt
talk
come
about that
from?
for so long. Like, he signed last year as, last year was a crapshoot. We didn't know how if we were going to get, National League All-Star MVP Paul Goldschmidt or if you're going to get some old guy who's washed. And he wasn't washed, that's for sure. And then, free agency, didn't get the qualifying offer or anything. And then, time kind of went by. No one picked him up. And then in the middle of January, I think, beginning middle of January, he signed with us again. And he signed knowing that he was not going to be a starter. And now he's hitting well enough that he is, getting starts. Like, which
And
is
it
crazy to
really is
me.
great. And it makes me wonder if the Yankees didn't, sign Paul Goldschmidt this offseason, where would he be right now? Would he be, on a nice beach sipping a margarita, or
Well,
would he be with
exactly.
a different game? I mean, I don't think anyone expected Paul Goldschmidt, who's what now, like 38 years old, to be
He'll be
this
39 this
good.
year. Yeah.
39. I mean, my gosh, he's having such a good season that the Yankees got to give him a World Series ring now, okay, as a thanks.
I
If
do
you
think,
ask
because
me,
was it you who commented on one of my posts the other day? You're like, how much does he have left in the tank? And I said, if we win the World Series,
that was me.
I think he goes out on a high note.
I
I
think he
think,
will. And, we saw signs of this, I guess you could say, kind of mini career resurgence, if you even want
mhm,
to consider it that. We saw that last year because it's not like he was a dud last year.
right.
And I said that. I made a video saying that. A lot of people called me crazy, saying, oh, no, he's too old. It's just a mini streak he's on. Well, he's on that streak now for over a year, and it seems like he's getting better. He's aging backwards right now.
Right.
Whether this is going to last the entire season or maybe a few more weeks, who knows? But I'm loving what Paul Goldschmidt is doing right now. Overall, it seems like the entire Yankees team is clicking in their own
Right.
ways. Except for Jazz Chisholm, I know he has not had the best season. He started game one 0 for 5 and is batting below 250 on the season. I know that's been a nasty year for him. But
Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt though, and the entire Yankees team has been it's been very good, and I like it.
Yeah, and I like what you brought up of like where would he be if the Yankees didn't sign him? Because you think like, oh, Anthony Rizzo. He
Yeah,
he never ended up getting picked up by anyone, which he has a job with MLB Network, ESPN. He got another job for one of
yeah.
the
Well,
major,
and he officially retired as well. So, but it,
right,
it
but that
does
was
it does make you wonder.
right, because he retired way later. It's not like he retired at the end of the season. So I think it still was in the back of his head, oh, what if someone wants to pick me up? I think if he did get that opportunity, he obviously would have jumped on it, but it did come after the fact. So, Paul Goldschmidt, you don't know what was going to happen with him. Who was going to pick him up? I mean, we signed him pretty late. And we
We
signed
did.
him and he knew that he was going to be a bench guy. Did anywhere else offer him money to be a starter or did he just want to play so he, signed the contract? There's a lot of, moving parts here, a lot of what ifs.
But you know what? That's what I love about baseball. So much of baseball is all about what ifs. I
Oh,
mean,
of
think about it.
course.
When the pitch is thrown, there's so many what ifs. What could happen after the pitch is thrown? And for
Right.
a player, what will their career be? What will happen when you sign them? For
Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt, I don't think anyone could have expected him to be
Mm-mm.
doing what he's doing now. I definitely don't think the Yankees expected that. I mean, as we're talking about right now, they brought him on to be a bench guy this year, and he's getting starts because you simply can't sit him. He's too hot, and I think that's also a big part of this overall Yankee mentality this year. We're
Hmm.
seeing a lot of guys when they're hot. Boone keeps them in the lineup. He's not really sitting guys when they're hot like he's done in the past. And this series has really shown the greatness of the Yankees thus far, even though they didn't sweep the A's. I mean,
Hmm.
even a guy like Fernando Cruz, no one's talked about him this year. He has a sub 2 ERA and 30 strikeouts in over 20 innings pitched. I mean, offensively, the Yankees is clicking. Defensively, pitching wise, the Yankees is clicking as well. I mean, I think this team right now is better than the 2024 team in certain
Me
areas.
too.
Maybe not overall, but definitely in certain areas, certain criterias.
Yeah, that's a really good segue because I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the front office operating with the urgency that we're seeing. Because if this was last year, people were getting hot and they were hitting, and then the next day they'd be benched. But
I
this
feel
year, that
like
doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't seem to be the case. I feel like Aaron Boone has sat hot players ever since he became manager of the Yankees. So
Right.
I wonder if he's finally flipping the switch, or if it's a Brian Cashman thing or Hal Steinbrenner thing. Frankly, though, I don't care. The Yankees are finally playing with urgency. I love it. I love it so much. I feel like, especially last year, I was gonna rip my hair out. I mean, this Yankee team, it was unbearable at times, and seeing them playing with urgency. Some moves, yes, I've agreed with. Other moves, it's kind of backfired.
Hmm.
Like Randall Grichuk, he started to get hot. The Yankees DFA'd him, and now he has, over 1,000 OPS with Chicago. Who knows if that'll last? But still, though, what would be nice if he got hot while he was a Yankee. Love what they're doing though right now with Anthony Volpe.
Hmm.
I mean, he did not just lose his starting spot at shortstop. He lost his spot on the 26th man. When his
Right.
rehab assignment was over, he was in the minors with
That
no
was the biggest
guarantee of him
turning
being
point for
back.
me.
It
Yes.
was. And not only was that a turning point, I think that was a statement too, because I think that's the Yankees front office, management, whoever saying, you know what? We're going in a different direction. We're tired of other teams not being fearful I
Hmm.
mean, to think
Right.
about it, the Yankees, they used to be a fearful team. And now that these past few years, you could walk all over them. And
Right.
now moving with urgency, I really like it. But I think one of the biggest things that need to happen is that New York fans, especially New York media, it's more New York media than anything. They need to stop comparing these players to greats. Okay,
Right.
I was tired of hearing Anthony Volpe being compared to Derek Jeter because he's from
Right.
Jersey and he plays shortstop. Oh, great, he met Derek Jeter when he was a kid. There's only one Derek Jeter,
Right.
Austin Wells. Look at what Austin Wells isn't doing right now. Yeah, last time I checked, he had an even 0 WAR. You and me right now have the same WAR as Austin Wells.
Right.
And I mean, what has he produced? But it doesn't matter because a few years ago he was being compared to I saw Jorge Posada, I saw Yogi Bear. Yes, Austin Wells, he's a very solid defensive catcher, but fact of the matter is he can't hit. The Yankees bet on him. They traded away a lot of their catcher depth, and
Right.
now they're stuck with Austin Wells, who's batting below the Mendoza line and who can't seem to carry this team whatsoever. I know you're a big JC Escobar guy.
I
I'm
am.
loving JC, and more so, I know he's been struggling too, but you don't see JC Escobar being compared to a guy like Yogi
Right.
Bear or Jorge Posada. That the Yankees, that the media, that they need to stop portraying these players as these former greats because there's only one. That's why those players are great. There's only one Derek Jeter. There's only one CC Sabathia.
Right.
There's only one Yogi. It's just it's very aggravating seeing that.
Absolutely. And I think someone posted it on Twitter a couple days ago, and I can't remember for the life of me who it was, but they were like, Anthony Volpe plays amazing when he's not being compared to Derek Jeter. And that's crazy that you said that because I literally just saw a tweet about that. And it's true because I have not heard anything comparing Volpe to Jeter in months. And it's all you heard last year,
It
which is
is.
crazy. And just like the urgency part of it, a pitcher, say Luis Heel, had a couple of bad starts. They sent him down. They had people who, they maybe didn't have a great game immediately after the game they're being sent down. And I always bring this up as my example because it's just a like, holy moly, like I can't believe that happened. You had Jazz Chisholm playing third base last year, so DJ LeMahieu could play second. Like, I can't even, like, I honestly forget about that sometimes, but then I'm like, wow, like, that's how bad we were. Like, that's
It
how
was ugly. It was
it
ugly
was
last year.
horrible.
It really was. And one thing I'm sick of being a Yankee fan, and yes, in a way, us Yankee fans were spoiled because we constantly have our team making the playoffs. Okay.
Yes.
We're constantly a contender. But I am sick of seeing these other teams clinch some type of playoff win, whether it's the World Series, the ALCS, or DS at Yankee Stadium. I'm sick of seeing that. We saw that last year with the Blue Jays. We saw that
Mhm.
the year before with the Dodgers and the World Series. I'm sick of that. I'm not saying the Yankees need to go out and win the World Series every year, but how many years are the Yankees going to make the playoffs and just continue to fall short? It needs to change, and it's nice to see this team finally showing signs of urgency because, frankly, they were lethargic. This should have happened several years ago, but it's nice to see something's finally being done all about it.
Right, and I think a lot I think I'll be able to formulate a better opinion on it after the trade deadline because obviously there were talk that we were going to go for Ryan Jeffers, who is now hurt, so there's no way that that's going to happen. In terms of, right-handed catching and, a nice power bat there. But we have to see what they do come the trade deadline. And I think, Max Fried comes back hopefully soon. I think he started playing catch again. Like hopefully within the next few weeks he's back on the team. What do you do with the rotation? Ryan Weathers didn't really get run support yesterday, and he's kind of always the one that I feel like is, I don't want to say falling short, but I think that if you're going to have a rotation of Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, I think it's Ryan Weathers is almost the odd man out. So do they put him in the bullpen? Would he thrive as a bullpen guy? You don't know. You have to see how it all plays out, but then also what moves do you make at the trade deadline to help the team, finish that second half of the year?
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what the Yankees do at the trade deadline. Ryan Weathers, I think you said it absolutely perfectly about him. I mean, the guy gets 10 strikeouts, but he also allowed 5 on runs. So it's like,
Right.
yeah, he went 6 and 2/3 and punched out 10 guys, but he also allowed 5 on runs. So I do think he will be the odd man out because you also got to factor in as well and, probably a month or two from now, we're going to start hearing Clark Schmidt working his way back, getting some rehab
Absolutely.
games in. I feel like a lot of people forgot that Clark Schmidt exists. So
Right.
Ryan Weathers, the thing I like about him, and which is also why I think he will be that odd man out, is because he has experience coming out of the bullpen. So it won't
Right.
be a foreign thing to him. It would be overall being a Yankee, but it's something that he's done in his career. And I think overall he could also be, a spot starter as well. Even if you want a guy to, eat up 2 or 3 innings out of the pen. I mean, he has the starter type of pitch count. You don't need to worry about him throwing 20 or 30 pitches and being completely ruled out for the next day if you have him in the
Right.
bullpen per se.
He's a Ryan Weathers type guy. I mean, that's another thing. You had Ryan Yarbrough starting games last year, and then they moved him to the bullpen and he's able to give us the length that we need. So I wasn't even thinking about Clark Schmidt, but yeah, do you have a six-man rotation or do you send Clark Schmidt to the bullpen too, or do you send Will Warren? Like, there's so many things here that need to
It's gonna
happen
be interesting
for sure.
unless we see a guy get dealt, and if so, I think the Yankees would keep the 5-man rotation, and if there was gonna be an odd man out, I think it would be Will Warren, to be honest with you, unless you send
Which
him
is
to the
crazy to say
bullpen.
because of
It
how
is.
good he's been. Like
I
that
know
is
he's had a good season.
Will Warren has been, I mean, he was incredible last year considering he was not supposed to be playing on the major league roster last year. So much
No.
stuff happened that that was our last resort. He's been absolutely incredible.
Look, last season in general was so crazy. We had Carlos Carrasco starting games for us, okay? And
Like I
that's
saw
how
him
you
pitch
know
once. That was crazy. Yeah,
It was
well,
definitely interesting.
since we're talking about pitching after the deadline, have you heard the Scooble rumors? Do you think the Yankees are actually going to be a front runner for that?
I think the Yankees will inquire about Scooble, but I'm looking at this as well. We don't know if there's going to be baseball in 2027, and I know a lot of people are talking about this,
Exactly.
and this is going to sound cliched, but I would do if I were Brian Cashman House Steinway, I would do whatever I could to win a World
Exactly.
Series now because Aaron
Exactly.
Judge is how old? He's what, like
He's
35?
34.
Yeah,
30.
yeah, 34. So if there's no baseball next year, you won't see Aaron Judge back until his age 36 season. I mean, the
Right.
window is closing to win with Judge in his prime. And more so, the window is just closing in general for the Yankees. I mean, this is a great core that the Yankees have. I would take full advantage, but it's also who do you give up for Tierk Skubal, though, who will be heading
It's
towards free agency as well.
it's going to take a lot, and honestly, like I might get absolutely attacked for saying this. I will take the Scooble rental, even if it means he's not going to sign with us again. If it means we're going to win the World Series, I like give up whoever you have the prospects to do it. I mean, I think the only guy that might be completely off limits right now is George Lombard Jr. I think that they will do everything they can to hold on to him, unless they want Scooble that bad. Um, because they didn't know what Volpe was going to look like this year, and he Lombard Jr. is progressing very well in Double A, and I think is he in Triple A now. He's
I
had
think he
he's
is in AAA, yeah.
yes, so he's almost there. I think the only guy that is completely off limits is George Lombard Jr. Other than that, we have the prospects to do it. I think they just have to do it.
Okay, hear me out. And this is a question for you, and kind of like myself too. Would you deal Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, and Carlos Legrande? Oh, let's just say if you could deal those three for TX Scuba, would you do it?
Um,
I don't think that's necessarily a realistic trade. I think there would be more pieces, but I know Jones and Legrande probably command a decent amount of trade value.
Okay, so far, I like what I see from Legrand. His command is just not there. He's throwing the ball hard, but also you got to be careful because that could come with injuries. So I think if Spencer Jones and Carlos Legrand, Jason Dominguez can get consistent playing time on another team, I think go for it. I'm all about player development. They complain about Jason Dominguez being bad, but they're not giving him starts to get any better.
Exactly. I love Dominguez. I am probably one of the biggest Dominguez fans that you will meet, right next to being an Aaron Judge fan, okay? Everyone talks so much crap about Jason Dominguez, but do you see him getting consistent playing time? No, you don't.
Exactly.
So,
You can't
just
complain that
ship
he's
him away
bad if
then.
you're not going to do anything to help it. And I said the same thing about Anthony Volpe, like, before he came back from injury, but when it was still kind of up in the air if he was even going to be on the 26 man. I said, if you can use him as a trade piece, get something more valuable in return, and he gets playing time on another team where he isn't under as much pressure and he can be a superstar, go for it. I don't see anything wrong with that. I want the players to do well, and obviously I want them to do well on my team, but I I want them to do well and I want them to get playing time and I want them to get better. So if that's going to make them better, I'm absolutely fine with it.
Like I said, it's definitely going to be a very interesting trade deadline. One thing that I like about TX Scooble is Detroit. I think that's a pretty big market.
Mhm.
Definitely not comparable to New York, but it's not like he's playing on the Rockies.
Right.
He's used to pressure. So I think if a trade was to happen, I think he would do very well as a Yankee. I think he would handle New York media well. But then that also raises the question. I mean, we could just get deeper and deeper into this. Where would you put him in the rotation? Would he be your number one
That
guy,
was
your
my
number
other
two guy?
question. What do you do with him? I think a rotation where you have Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, Carlos Rodon, and Tarek Skubal. Like, I mean, obviously not in that order, but if you have Carlos Rodon as your fifth guy, that to me is like insane.
Yeah.
Like if
It's
your
definitely insane.
fifth day starter, where it's kind of a toss up, is Carlos Rodon. That's stupid amazing. Like that is just
that
there's
that
no
would
other
be
way to put it.
something. That would be something. And if the Yankees, let's say there is baseball next year, Yankees go out, that they get Tick Skubal, they trade for him, they end up keeping him, don't let him escape in free agency. I mean, that the starting five is essentially set for several years. Then you need to think. So, are they not going to go after Paul Skeens then? When he
I would
hits free
prefer
agency.
Skeens. I would absolutely prefer Skeens over Skubal. I think, like I said, if we somehow were to trade for Skubal, I'd be totally fine if he walked. And that sounds crazy, but if that's what it's going to take to get us a World Series before, the sport essentially shuts down or we have no idea what's going to happen, I'm all for it.
Mini side question: Do you think that there's going to be baseball next year? Because
I
I'm up about it. I'm mixed.
So Jeff Passan has said like that he has come out and said like he is not worried as of right now, which means I'm not worried. If he starts saying, there's not going to be baseball in 2027, then I'm going to be like I'm going to start getting scared about it. Um I've seen what both obviously the first kind of round of negotiations. There's no way that the players are going to accept what Major League Baseball has thrown at them right now. There's not a whole lot wrong with it, like, but that's coming from an outsider's perspective. Obviously, I'm not playing the game. I'm not the one being paid to play the game. So I think there's definitely there's a big gap in what both sides want, and I don't think they're going to budge, but eventually, one of them will. I think if anything, maybe the winter meetings get canceled if they don't have an agreement in place, because I think it expires on what, December 1st, which is before the meetings. So I think if anything, it'll be, a standstill in December. I do think we will be back and ready to go by the time the season starts.
I think you just predicted it very accurately. I see the same thing going on. I I cannot imagine there not being a season next year. I mean, obviously that's a possibility, so that's something that we have to talk about as sports journalists. But I really cannot imagine Major League Baseball canceling the season. I think that somehow, some way, a deal will be made, whether it's not the to the fullest liking of either side. I think there will be some type of compromising deal in order to play baseball. Major League Baseball in itself, I don't think could afford to lose a season. I mean, they are growing these past few years so much more in popularity with a lot of these star players. I mean, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Paul Skeens, and Scooble. I mean, those are the faces. Ellie De La Cruz. I
Right.
mean, those are the faces right now in Major League Baseball, and it's growing a lot more. I think this is the highest these past 2-3 years that Major League Baseball has ever been, in my
Right.
opinion, at
You
least.
have to have a season. And I also think not just the players, but also like the creators and the journalists and all of the younger people who are getting into the sport. Like I always think of Kate Maniscalco, like she's incredible everything that she's doing to kind of grow the sport and her whole like baseball for baddies channel. I don't know if you've seen that, but I think that's really
I've seen it a
awesome.
few times. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like it.
and it's just like the people who are, they're our age, a little bit older, trying to get younger people into the sport. I was at a Yard Goats game the other day in Hartford, and I was with my friend, and I bought like the Yard Goats baseball cards there because that's just so cool that you can get like, it was like $2.50 for like 10 random Yard Goats cards, and it could have been from any year. They could be autograph ones in there. It was really cool. I actually got a Jake Bird one, which is awesome because,
Hey,
he's a Yankee.
nice.
Um, but I had all of these extra cards at the end. And I'm like, you know what? Let me give them out to little kids. And I said to my friend, like, that is my favorite thing ever, is when you give like cards to kids at baseball games and you can tell that they're so into it. Like, I love, because when I was growing up, it was always, oh, baseball's a dying sport. It's not going to be around for much longer. And so when I see younger kids getting into it, it makes me so excited.
It really is. It's something special, especially, when they're there with, friends or family, and you could
Mhm.
tell that they're enjoying it. I have a Ryan McMahon autographed Yard Goats baseball card.
I was looking for him.
So
I bought like 12 packs of cards looking for Ryan McMahon.
yeah, 'cause I know when you were on my show a few weeks ago, what was it? You were a McFan for McMahon,
Yes,
something
I'm
like
a
that.
McFan.
So yeah, so that's cool that I have that. I've been to my fair share of Hartford Yard Goats games, and it's really nice seeing that. When I go, it's usually just myself, or sometimes I'll go with my wife to a few games. But it is nice seeing that connection, and I get recognized a lot when I'm going to all these sporting events because I'm from Connecticut. For any of those who don't watch my channel and don't know that, so I get recognized. So it is cool, talking to people who watch my channel and everything,
Mhm,
and all of that. But it's great seeing all those kids, even like older couples,
mhm.
at games. I mean, but baseball, I think, is a universal sport. Anyone could get into it as a fan. It doesn't matter how young or old you are, and you could develop a true love and passion for it.
Yeah, and it's really cool because, like I said, I've taught some of my friends like about baseball, and then like they'll say things, and it's like really cool because I'm like, oh my God, like a year ago you didn't know that, or like you're looking at stats, not even I'm looking at that stat. Like it's just incredible to watch, like when I've taught people, like, and to watch that, watch them pick up on it and understand the sport. And I just think that's really cool. I see it with my brother a lot because we talk throughout the games and he'll ask me questions and I'll answer them. And like my best friend, like she's like obsessed with the stats and the standings and everything. And so like I'll be texting her during a game and she like won't answer. I'm like, where did you go? And she'll be like, oh, I was looking up this stat. I'm like a year ago you didn't even know what that was. Like it just makes me so happy to see people get into baseball like that. And it's like honestly, I love it more than anything. And so when I get to share that with people, it's even more special.
But my wife wasn't into any sports, and she still kind of isn't. But she's getting more and more into baseball. And she came up to me the other day, and she's telling me like all this like baseball news and stats. And I whipped my head around. I'm like, I wasn't familiar with your game.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, yeah, you're hanging around me a little bit too much. How do you know that? And it really is great to see people getting into baseball, or really sports in general. I mean, I think sports is one thing that so many people could just come together on,
Mhm.
and relate to. I mean, it really is. It really is nice. I mean, like I said earlier here on the show, I played baseball myself. I mean, it's a great game to play. It's a great game to watch. It's a great game to talk about. I'm having a great time talking about it with you right now. And the Yankees are a great baseball team, and I think that we are blessed to have the New York Yankees
Yes,
be as good as
absolutely.
they've been. 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, so let's get into our last point quickly. Um, Tomorrow is June. Give me your honest thoughts about the June swoon. Do you think it's gonna happen? Do you think, I mean, usually we're really hot in April and really hot in May, and then it just falls apart in June. I feel like we've had kind of ups and downs so far, which is a new thing. So how do you feel about all of that?
Well, first of all, I have a little bit of PTSD from last year. The June swoon turned into late August swoon, basically. So I really hope we don't have one. And honestly, I'm not trying to jinx the Yankees here, but man, this team feels different. I can't fathom the idea of the Yankees just having a weird mid season early summer collapse. I really can't. I think if they could get through at least the majority of this month, at least half of this month, I think we're good. Honestly, but it's more so it's a mental thing because it seems like this has happened to New York ever since what 2022. This has been the
Yeah.
norm. It's a mental thing that the players, that the management has to get through. And I know a guy like Aaron Judge right now, he's in a mini slump. But I look at it like this: the Yankees have shown this season that hey, when Judge isn't hitting, when he's not 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 on a game, we're still able to win. And I think that's the biggest
Right.
thing because a big reason of the June swoons, or the June, July, August swoons is because Aaron Judge was either not hitting or for whatever reason not playing because he was on the IL. The Yankees offense has shown this season that they could pick up when Judge, can't produce, fully to what we know he could. And it's been really nice to see. I think this A's series really showcased it because Judge did not have the greatest series against the Athletics, and the Yankees still took two out of the three games. I know the A's on the same level as the New York Yankees, but it's still nice to see New York's offense produce in the way they have, even though their top guy isn't, hitting what he normally does. So I definitely
Absolutely.
want to hear your thoughts on this, but I don't think we're gonna have a swoon.
Yeah, I think if we do have a swoon, it's going to be significantly shorter than it usually is. And I credit a lot of that. First of all, you're totally right. Being able to hit without Judge, being able to win, being able to score, without Aaron Judge there. Also, the constant pitching reinforcement. We have so much pitching depth right now, both on the roster and in the minor league system. And you had Carlos Rodon staggered back from injury. You had Garrett Cole coming back. Like, there's a lot of it's almost like refreshment. Like you are pitching with the same rotation, they get gassed. That's usually what happens by June. It's the pitching that gets gassed, in addition to the offense not being able to give any run support. But this year, you're right, it does feel different. And like you said, we're going to have Clark Schmidt coming back. We're going to have Max Fried coming back in a few weeks. Hopefully, good as new. That's another kind of reinforcement there. I think the constant pitching reinforcement is definitely going to help.
And let me just say a big reason why I feel this way is because of how the Yankees have been. We would talk about urgency. The Yankees are urgent. So if we have players like, let's say Anthony Volpe goes back and he's hitting 225, I think we're going to see him sent down again. I
Mhm.
think he has at least one more option left, but I think the Yankees are going to be doing a lot of moves if they get into a big low stretch.
Right. I think that's another test. Like I said, like the ultimate test is going to be what they do at the deadline. But I think if we do have a summer swoon, how do they handle it? Because they were just running back the same lineup, the same rotation, same everything last year. They were not changing a thing. So I think if they do start to, slump and have that June swoon, however they deal with it is going to say a lot about how they're operating.
And also, I don't think anyone expected Gail Cole to come back and be as great as he
Right.
is. I mean, I please correct me if I'm wrong, but let's say he keeps this up. Even though he did not start the season and miss essentially the entire like first month and a half, could he possibly be a Cy Young contender? Could he win the award? I mean, if he
It's
keeps this up, because I mean, he's
possible.
been great. He's been absolutely great.
It's possible for sure. I mean, you hope he keeps it up. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, dude's touching 98, 99, like coming back from Tommy John surgery. And he kind of came back earlier than they wanted him to. But then Max Fried got hurt. So they're like, no, he's gonna have this. He's gonna have X amount of rehab starts. We're really gonna let him take his time. And then Max Fried gets hurt, and they're like, all right, he's coming back. Like strict 5 days rest. They literally said, we'll do whatever to the other pitchers just to make sure that Garrett Cole gets 5 days rest. Like they were serious about it.
They definitely were. And as I've said many times already, I'm loving what the Yankees are doing so far this season. I mean, the sense of urgency, the different managerial approach. I mean,
Hmm.
overall, that this is an entirely different, or complete 180 from what we saw last year in so many different aspects, from player production, players, insights into the game, and the overall managerial and front office approach. It's really
Right.
nice to see.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. All right, so we're running out of time, so let's get into the bonus questions. These are more fun than,
All
the
right.
serious ones. So who on the team has surprised you most this year?
You just started off with a really good question. Okay, who on the team has surprised me the most? I'm gonna go with Anthony Volpe. He may not have played every game. He definitely didn't start the season with the Yankees, but I did not expect him to come up and do as great of a job as he's done. I mean, he really has blocked out the noise. He's doing his own thing, and I mean, he's doing a very good job overall. I did not expect that. I thought Volpe, especially after the rehab assignment was over and he stayed in AAA, I thought that was the end of his Yankee career.
Mhm.
Honestly, I did not expect to see him back in the majors at all. So I would say that's my biggest surprise.
That's a good one. I agree with you. My first answer would definitely be Paul Goldschmidt because, like we said, you didn't know how he was gonna be coming into the season, so he's definitely surprised me a lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, Pork Oachman was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, for sure. I know you're like a really big Judge guy, but who's your current favorite non-Judge Yankee?
Non-Judge Yankee has to be Jason Dominguez. I mean, I have so much Jason Dominguez PSA stock, and let me tell you, it's taken such a hit too. I got so many PSA slabs of autographs of his and everything, but I like him as a player. That is one of the last Yankees me and my grandfather ever got to see play. We saw his debut together. He was a real big fan of him when he was in the minors, so he's definitely my favorite non-Judge Yankee of right now.
I like that. Mine's no surprise, Carlos. All right, and then this is always the hardest question for people. Um, if you were a professional baseball player, what would your walk-up song be?
I gotta go with throwing it back to MLB The Show 16. Could have been made by the Struts.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that.
I think
That was like a quick.
one
That
of
was
the
probably
best games.
the quickest answer I've ever gotten. Usually people are like, "Oh my God, I've forgotten every song I've ever heard."
Well, you know what? I played at the kind of like the semi-professional amateur level, so we did get walk-up songs. So
Okay.
that was like my walk-up song because that was the first game I ever played. Even though I got into baseball, in 2017, 2018, that was the first baseball game I ever played on my
Nice.
PlayStation. So yeah, I love that.
Nice. I always go with like some 80s dad rock. Like, I want to do Living on a Prayer, but like just the
Ooh,
beginning part of
okay.
it before the lyrics start. You only get a couple seconds. You have to picking a song is hard enough, and then you have to pick like only a couple seconds of that song.
Hey, "Living on a Prayer" is it's a solid song. I
Yeah.
listen to a lot of '80s music, so, yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
All right, well, that's it. So thank you, Dominic, for joining me tonight. That was super, super fun. You can follow Dominic on Twitter at NYSS Official. And you want to drop your Instagram too, your
Yeah, so
TikTok,
yeah,
whatever you want.
yeah, well, first of all, honored to be on once again. I mean, thank you so much. I had a great time. Thank you guys for watching this. And yeah, so the Instagram is New York Sports Show. But if you want to see daily content, I post 6 times a day on YouTube. Also, New York Sports Show, spelled out just like that. And it's very short and sweet content. We do about 5-minute podcast episodes daily and YouTube shorts. And also website articles at newyorksportshow.com. Google, Safari, Bing it. It's really nice articles. We do a lot of like historical articles, and if you're a diehard Yankee fan or really any New York sport fan, our website's definitely a nice place to check out.
Yeah, all right. So you can follow Dominic at all those different platforms, and you can follow me at mdestefano14 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and you can subscribe to the Generational Run podcast on YouTube. That's it for tonight, and we will see you next time.